We're going to talk about Game 4 of the NBA Finals between the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks. So currently, like I said, the series stands at 2-1 in favor of Phoenix. Milwaukee showed up in Game 3. Giannis had a dominant performance, had 41 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists. Drew Holiday had a solid comeback game after the first two games he struggled in games 1 and 2. And Chris Middleton had a solid game altogether. I believe he had like 18, 19 points and was about 50% for the fields. But all in all, Milwaukee definitely showed up in Game 3. So, Kev, the stage is set for you. We got Game 4 between the Suns and the Bucks. Who do you have winning Game 4 and why?
Um, we talked about it last night in our segment, really quick to kind of when we went on our deep dive. I'm still kind of stuck. I want to say that Phoenix is going to take a commanding 3-1 lead because I feel like Monty will be able to make adjustments. However, the undeniable fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo is an actual walking mismatch just leads me to believe that Milwaukee's going to find a way to win another one at home. I mean, this wasn't just a squeak. This wasn't just a game winner. This was a blowout. And typically in blowout fashion, the team that wins gains a lot of momentum, and sometimes some would say that the momentum shifts in favor of the team that blew out the other. So, with Devin Booker not having the most efficient finals in the last two games. The lack of consistency at the center position from DeAndre Ayton, and the injury to Dario, right?
Dario, yep.
Yeah, Dario Saric to lose depth at the 4 and the 5 position in terms of uh, bench production and bench depth. Just leads me to believe Milwaukee is probably going to take Game 4, unless Phoenix legitimately doubles Giannis every single possession and lets the role players like Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and a list of other players beat them. I don't know if Phoenix is going to be able to combat Giannis because let's be frank, the man has 100 and what, 6? 100
103 points in the first three games.
103 points in 3 games. Oh my God, I just got the notification for Team USA basketball. I can't wait to dive into that later, guys. I don't think you understand. Like, my anxiety is absolutely off the charts. But we'll get to that in a couple minutes. Um, so if I had to put a bet on it, I think Milwaukee takes game 4. I think it's a little bit closer. I think Devin definitely has a more efficient night. I think that the role players for Phoenix continue to step up and do what they need to do. DeAndre Ayton got into a good rhythm early, but with the foul trouble later in the game, he pretty much was a non-factor later in the game. So I think that he continues his hot streak, at least start the game. And if Devin can see the ball going early, if Chris can continue the pace that he's going, I think this game will be close. But I don't see anybody on this Phoenix roster that's going to be able to even slow Giannis down unless you legitimately double him or hack him at every point that he touches the ball. And at that point, you're going to lose players to be eligible to play in this game because he touches the ball every possession.
I'm going to go with Milwaukee here. I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than it was in Game 3. I mean, a 20-point blowout in Game 3, that was something I was not expecting. I mean, I picked Milwaukee to win Game 3, not in that fashion, though. So, kind of piggybacking off of your point that you made, I expect Devin Booker to have a bounce back game in Game 4. He was 3 of 14 in Game 3. It's very rare that you see those types of performances from Dev. He's had a sensational playoff run up until this point, and I'm not going to be surprised if he goes out there at least scores 20, 25, possibly 30 points. This is a big bounce back game for him. So I definitely expect that from him. Chris Paul, look, even though that he didn't have what I would consider the best night in Game 3, he was very efficient from the field, chipped in about 20 points, and was still hitting his mid-range jumpers like it was a walk in the park. So I expect him to do the same thing. But the issue for Phoenix is they have to contend with Giannis, and they have not found a way to even slow him down remotely. And in Game 3 in particular, I think Phoenix was so worried about protecting the paint from Giannis that it left the perimeter open, and the Bucks were able to knock down their shots in Game 3. Now, in Game 4, I don't think that Milwaukee is going to be able to knock down the three-point shots that they did like they did in Game 4. In Game 3. Because you had Drew Holiday. I believe he was 50% behind the 3-point line. He knocked down 5 of his 10 threes. And there was a point in the third quarter in game 3 where he went off. I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think Drew is going to have, I don't want to say a come back down to earth game. I just don't think he's going to be as good as he was in game 3. I think Chris Middleton is going to actually have a solid game. I think he's going to get somewhere around 25 points altogether. But I think Giannis is going to drop another 35 plus. I just don't see a matchup that Phoenix can present him that would tell me that, okay, we got a good matchup here against Giannis. And if DeAndre Ayton gets into some sort of foul trouble again, like he did in game 3, Giannis is going to get 40 points easy. So that's going to be the real key here is, can they lock the paint down to the point where Giannis has to kick it out, and then the Suns, are going to live and die with Milwaukee's role players making shots. Game 3, Milwaukee's role players showed up. Drew Holiday showed up. We had Pat Connaughton show up. We had Bobby Portis show up. These guys provided huge minutes for Milwaukee in game 3. I still think they're going to be able to do it to a certain extent in game 4. I don't know how effective they're going to be, but I think it's going to be just enough to get by Phoenix in game 4. If I had to put a score on this, both teams have been able to score in this series, so I do expect this to be a high-scoring affair. If I had to put a score on it, I think the Bucks win 115 to 110, because I do think that the Suns are going to keep this game close. I don't think it's going to be a runaway like we saw in game 3. I think this is going to be probably one of the most compelling matchups of the series, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I don't see Milwaukee rolling over and letting Phoenix come back, but I also don't see Phoenix allowing Milwaukee to kind of like stampede over them 2 in a row. So it's going to be a tight game. Bottom line is, at the end of the day, when you look at it from a basketball perspective, would you rather have one player beat you for 40 or a team cumulative 30 to 40 points and that star player kind of have a lesser efficient game? Because Giannis is usually efficient for the most part from within the restricted area. You know what I mean? So whether that's a layup, a dunk, a post fadeaway off the bottom hash or the block. So we'll see what happens. I think Monty will make adjustments to at least try to slow him down as best as humanly possible, whether that's a transition into a zone or what. But that Phoenix offense needs to be 10 times more efficient, and it starts with Devin Booker for sure.
And Phoenix has to be more aggressive on the boards.